Wind chimes clattered against the iron door of the old mechanic's shop. Jack was under a truck when he heard the weak, desperate scream from behind the warehouse. He opened the door to find a 7-year-old girl, trembling, covered in mud and rain. "Please help my mom. She's hurt. They're hurting her." He grabbed a flashlight and ran toward the fading cries. In the yellow light cutting through the torn metal roof, 4 shadows emerged through the rain. 2 men were beating a woman whose hands were tied. Jack shouted, "Let her go home." The first punch flew. He moved like a ghost through light and oil smoke, taking them down one by one. The woman looked up, blood on her lips. "I'm Evelyn Cross, CEO of Atlas Energy. They want me silenced." Jack threw the knife to the ground, breathing hard. "Now they're silent. I'll handle the rest." Thunder crashed outside. Lightning illuminated the SEAL's face, a man who'd just found a reason to fight again. Jack Hunter was 38 years old, former Navy SEAL now living quietly in the Ravenhill Industrial District, working as a mechanic in a small shop. He'd lost his wife 7 years ago in an explosion while she was deployed in the Middle East. She'd been a medic, killed trying to save wounded soldiers during an ambush. Since then, Jack had lived with his son, Eli, 9 years old. Smart, curious, always building engines from scrap parts he found in the junkyard. Their small house next to the shop always smelled of motor oil and old radio static. It wasn't much, but it was theirs. That rainy night, after saving 2 strangers, Jack brought them back to the shop to escape the storm. The woman was unconscious, blood spreading across her shoulder. The little girl clutched her mother, refusing to let go. "What's your name?" Jack asked gently, kneeling to the child's level. "Leah. Your mom's going to be okay. I promise." He cleaned and bandaged the wound with the field medic skills he'd learned in the teams. Muscle memory never left you, even years after leaving service. The next morning, the woman woke slowly, eyes opening to dim light filtering through rain-streaked windows. "Who are you?" "Jack Hunter. I change spark plugs and occasionally save people." "Thank you. I'm Evelyn Cross, CEO of Atlas Energy. I think you just saved me from being eliminated." "Then you should rest. Nobody here knows who you are." Leah crawled over to Jack, taking his hand while holding her mother's. "Mr. Jack is strong like a superhero." Jack smiled slightly. "Superheroes are just people who know not to run away." Eli appeared in the doorway, having woken to voices. "Dad? Who are they?" "Friends who needed help." "Are the bad guys gone?" "For now." Eli approached cautiously, then sat beside Leah. "Want to see my engine collection? I have 17 different pistons." The little girl nodded, and the 2 children disappeared into Eli's room, already becoming allies. Evelyn watched them go, tears sliding down her cheeks. "I endangered my daughter. I thought I could protect her by running, but I just led them right to us." "You did what you thought was right. That takes courage. Or stupidity. Sometimes they're the same thing." She looked around the cluttered shop, tools hanging on pegboards, oil stains on the concrete floor, the smell of gasoline and metal. "This is a long way from my penthouse office." "Safer, though." "How do you know?" "Because nobody powerful lives here. Nobody worth targeting. We're invisible." "That sounds lonely." "It's survival." Later, after Evelyn had eaten and changed into borrowed clothes, Jack found her staring at a photograph on his workbench. Him in uniform, a beautiful woman beside him, both smiling in front of an American flag. "Your wife?" Evelyn asked quietly. "Was 7 years ago." "I'm sorry. Leah's father left when she was 2. I've been alone since then." "Alone isn't the same as lonely. Sometimes it's just safer." "Is it though? Or are we just telling ourselves that because it's easier than risking getting hurt again?" Jack didn't answer. He picked up a wrench and went back under the truck, letting work fill the silence. That evening, Eli took a piece of scrap metal and carved words into a small wooden plaque. "No one left behind." He hung it near his father's workbench without comment. Jack saw it later and stood there for a long time, remembering the men he'd served with, the motto they'd lived by, the promises that still echoed in his dreams. Evelyn watched him from the doorway, understanding somehow that this man carried ghosts he'd never fully speak about, that his kindness came from a place of deep loss. "Thank you for not leaving us behind," she said softly. He turned, meeting her eyes. That's not something I know how to do. And in that moment, something shifted. A connection formed between two people who'd learned to survive alone, now wondering if maybe, just maybe, surviving together might be possible. The rain cleared. Sunlight broke through the metal roof, sparkling on oil puddles like scattered diamonds. Evelyn and Leah stayed temporarily. Her ankle was still swollen from the attack, making walking difficult. In the morning, Jack made scrambled eggs and black coffee, standard military breakfast. Nothing fancy, but hot and filling. "Where did you serve?" Evelyn asked, sitting at the small table. "Afghanistan. Now I just serve myself and whoever needs help. I've heard about people like you, warriors who save the world and disappear into it. The world's too big. I just fix my part." She told him about Atlas Energy, how she'd discovered the board was laundering money through biological weapons development projects. When she gathered evidence, they hired contractors to eliminate her. "I never imagined a SEAL would save a CEO. I never imagined a CEO would dare tell the truth. Usually they're more worried about stock prices than morality. I was worried about stock prices for years. Then I realized I was building something that killed people. That changes your priorities." While they talked, Leah and Eli played together, building a paper airplane they labeled Guardian on the wings. Their laughter drifted through the shop, a sound that had been absent too long. In the afternoon, Evelyn practiced walking around the shop. Jack helped her maintain balance, his hands steadying but never controlling. "Living with memories like yours can't be easy," she said carefully. "Memories don't kill people. Silence does." "What do you mean?" "I mean the things we don't talk about. They grow in the dark, get heavier. Eventually they crush us if we don't let some light in." She considered this. "Is that why you help strangers? Let light in?" "Maybe. Or maybe I just can't stand hearing kids cry for help and doing nothing." That evening, as Jack prepared dinner, she asked quietly, "Have you ever thought about starting over? Really starting over, not just surviving?" He paused, knife halfway through an onion. "I tried, but the past always knows my address. It shows up uninvited." "What if it showed up and you weren't alone when it did?" He looked at her, understanding the question beneath the question. "That's dangerous thinking." "Why? Because people I care about get hurt. That's just history repeating. Or maybe history's trying to teach you something different this time." They ate together that night, all four of them crowded around the small table. Eli told elaborate stories about the engines he wanted to build. Leah showed them how to fold origami cranes. Evelyn laughed more than she had in months. Jack watched this scene unfold, something warming in his chest that he'd thought had frozen permanently. This felt dangerously close to family. After the kids were asleep, Evelyn found him on the shop floor, working on an engine by lamplight. "You don't sleep much, do you?" "Sleep brings dreams. Dreams bring memories. I prefer being awake." "What if the memories aren't all bad?" "They're not. That's what makes them hurt. Remembering good things you can't have anymore." She sat on the workbench, watching his skilled hands work. "I remember good things, too. Before my ex left, before Atlas corrupted itself, before I had to choose between my conscience and my career. I remember believing the world could be better." "What changed?" "I grew up, realized believing isn't enough. You have to fight for better, and fighting costs everything." "Not everything. You still have Leah." "Thanks to you." He wiped his hands on a rag. "Thanks to luck. I just happened to be here." "I don't think luck had anything to do with it. I think we ended up here because we both needed to remember something." "What's that?" "That good people still exist. That not everyone's given up." The next morning, Leah and Eli created something they called Team Fixers. They drew it on poster board and stuck it on the wall with 4 handprints in paint. 3 large, 1 small. "What's this?" Jack asked. "It's us," Eli explained. "We fix things. Engines, people, families. We're the Team Fixers." Leah nodded seriously. "And we never give up on each other." Evelyn stared at the poster, eyes welling with tears. Such simple wisdom from children. Such profound truth. Jack touched the poster gently, his large handprint next to the others. "Team Fixers. I like it." That week, Evelyn learned to change oil, check spark plugs, adjust timing belts. Her manicured hands got dirty and calloused. She'd never felt more accomplished. If a CEO can fix a generator, maybe there's hope for the world, Jack teased. If a warrior can teach patience, I can learn to trust people again. That's a fair trade. They fell into a routine, sharing mornings together over coffee, days working side by side, evenings with the children, nights talking while Jack worked, and Evelyn read technical manuals she'd never bothered with before. She found a wooden box one night, tucked on a high shelf. Inside were medals, commendations, photographs of Jack with his team. Young men in uniform, arms around each other, eyes full of purpose. How many of them made it home? She asked quietly when Jack found her looking. Not enough. Is that why you hide these? I'm not hiding them. I just don't need to look at them every day to remember. Remember what? That every day I wake up is a day they didn't get. That wasting my life would dishonor theirs. She closed the box carefully. You're not wasting your life. You're living it the only way you know how. With honor. Honor doesn't pay the bills. No, but it lets you sleep eventually, even if it takes years. He smiled slightly. You sound like my old commander. Smart man? Smartest. He told me that warriors fight battles, but the real war is against becoming someone you don't recognize in the mirror. Someone who's lost the reason they fought in the first place. Have you? Lost your reason? Jack looked at the Team Fixers poster, at the handprints and hopeful words. I thought I had. Maybe I was wrong. Outside, wind chimes rang softly, the same sound that had brought Evelyn running into his life. Now it sounded less like warning and more like music. The attack came 1 week later on a moonless night when the shop was quiet except for the hum of the old refrigerator. Jack sensed danger before he heard it. Years of combat training, instinct that never quite shut off. He killed the lights, signaled silence with a hand gesture. 3 men entered through the shop's bay doors, guns concealed under jackets, moving with professional precision. Leading them was Damian Voss, Atlas Energy's head of security. Miss Cross, Voss called out, his voice echoing in the dark space. Give us the data and come with us. If you don't, the child dies first. Evelyn trembled, pulling Leah behind her, pressing the little girl against the wall. Jack stepped from the shadows, wrench in hand. She's not going anywhere. Voss turned, annoyed. Who the hell are you? Someone you really don't want to meet. A mechanic playing hero. Step aside before you get hurt. I'm not a mechanic. I'm a Navy SEAL who happens to fix engines now. Big difference. Voss's expressions changed, recalculating. Even SEALs bleed. Eventually, but I'd take a lot of people down first. The fight erupted fast and brutal. Jack moved like he was back in combat, using every tool as a weapon. Oil cans became projectiles. Chains became whips. A hammer, a wrench, a crowbar, each one extending his reach. He took down the first man with a wrench to the kneecap, then the temple. Down hard, not getting up. The second man pulled a gun. Jack threw a handful of ball bearings across the floor. The man's foot slipped, and Jack was on him before he could recover, disarming him with a practiced twist that left the attacker's wrist broken. But Voss was better trained. Military background, possibly special operations. He landed a solid punch to Jack's ribs, then another. Jack tasted blood. A gunshot. The bullet grazed Jack's shoulder, burning like fire. Evelyn screamed. She grabbed her laptop and threw it to Jack. The evidence is in there. Don't let them take it. Jack caught it one-handed, kicked over a metal shelf. Tools and parts crashed down, creating cow on in and cover. Voss drew his weapon, aiming at Jack's center mass. Last chance. Give me the laptop and the woman. Last chance, Jack replied. Walk away and I don't kill you. You're outnumbered and bleeding. I'm also really good at this. Jack feinted left, moved right, closed the distance before Voss could fire. He trapped the gun arm, drove his elbow into Voss's throat, took him to the ground. They grappled on oil-slick concrete, 2 trained killers fighting for dominance. Voss was younger, less damaged, but Jack was protecting something, and that made him more dangerous. He got the weapon free, tossed it away, and finished the fight with brutal efficiency. Voss went limp, conscious but broken. Police sirens wailed outside. Someone had called them, probably a neighbor hearing the gunshots. Jack pulled a USB drive from the laptop, held it up as officers stormed in. Evidence of corporate corruption, biological weapons development, money laundering. Atlas Energy, it's all here. Officers secured the scene. Paramedics treated Jack's shoulder wound while he gave his statement. Evelyn sat on the floor amid the wreckage, holding his hand. You could have died for me. Dying for the right reason is better than living for nothing. That's the most Navy SEAL thing anyone's ever said to me. He smiled through the pain. Semper Fi. You were Marines? No, but the motto applies. Always faithful, even to people you just met. Captain Rodriguez of the local police took the USB drive carefully. Miss Cross, we've been contacted by federal investigators. They're very interested in Atlas Energy's activities. I'll cooperate fully. I have more documentation, witness statements, financial records, everything needed to shut them down. That makes you a valuable witness, also a potential target. I know, but I'm not running anymore. I'm tired of being afraid. Rodriguez nodded respectfully. We'll post protection until the arrests are made. After the police left and the shop was quiet again, Evelyn found her Atlas Energy CEO badge in her pocket. The plastic card that had once represented power, success, identity. She looked at it for a long moment, then threw it on the floor and stepped on it, crushing it under her heel. That's 10 years of my life you just destroyed, she said. Was it worth keeping? No, I thought power would protect me. Turns out only courage does that, and I had to learn it from a stranger. Jack leaned against the workbench, exhausted and hurting. Not a stranger anymore. No? Strangers don't bleed for each other. She looked at the chaos around them, the destroyed shop, the bloodstains, the wreckage of the fight. I've ruined your life, your business, your peace, everything. You gave me a reason to care about something again. That's not ruining my life, that's saving it. Leah and Eli emerged from the back room where they'd hidden during the fight. Both children ran to Jack, hugging him carefully around his injuries. You're hurt, Eli said, touching the bandage. I'm okay, buddy, just a scratch. That's not a scratch, that's a bullet wound. Okay, it's a bullet wound, but I'm still okay. Leah looked up at him with absolute trust. You saved us again. That's what team fixers do, right? We protect each other. The children nodded seriously, understanding that they'd just witnessed something important. Not the violence, but the choice, the decision to stand up when running would be easier. That night, after the kids were finally asleep and the shop was secured, Evelyn sat with Jack in the dim light. What happens now? You testify, they go to prison, life moves forward. And us? What about us? Is there an us? Or was this just a crisis bringing strangers together temporarily? Jack was quiet for a long time. I don't know. I haven't thought about an us in 7 years. Maybe it's time. Maybe, or maybe I'm too damaged for that. We're all damaged. The question is whether we're too broken to heal. He looked at her, really looked at her, seeing past the CEO exterior to the scared woman who'd chosen truth over safety. I don't think you're broken. Cracked maybe, but not broken. What's the difference? Broken things don't work anymore. Cracked things just need careful handling. She smiled through tears. I can do careful handling. I learned from watching you fix engines. Engines are easier than people. But the principle's the same, right? Take apart what's broken, clean the parts, put them back together better than before. In theory. Then let's try the theory. Outside, dawn was breaking, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. A new day emerging from darkness. A metaphor so obvious it almost hurt. But sometimes obvious metaphors were obvious because they were true. 3 weeks after the attack, Atlas Energy was under federal investigation. 14 executives arrested. The company's government contract suspended. Evelyn's testimony was the key evidence prosecutors needed. She resigned as CEO officially, not forced out, but walking away. I built something corrupt. Now I'm helping tear it down. That's the only right thing. She moved to Ravenhill permanently, renting a small apartment near Jack's shop. Leah enrolled in the same school as Eli. The two children were inseparable now, brother and sister in everything but blood. Jack repaired the damaged shop roof, replaced broken windows, cleaned up the mess from the fight. Evelyn helped, learning to use power tools, patch drywall, paint over bullet holes. "You're getting good at this," Jack observed, watching her competently handle a drill. "I have a good teacher. Plus, it turns out I like building things more than managing them. Different kind of power. Better kind. I can see results immediately. With corporate work, you never know if what you're doing actually matters." They worked side by side, comfortable silences, punctuated by easy conversation. She learned his rhythms, when he needed space and when he needed company. He learned her triggers, what reminded her of danger and what made her feel safe. Leah and Eli created what they called Guardian Corner in the shop, a small table with two plastic toy helmets and a miniature flag. Their headquarters for imaginary rescue missions. "What are you guarding?" Jack asked them one afternoon. "Each other," Eli said simply. "That's what guardians do." Evelyn's eyes filled with tears. Such wisdom from 9-year-olds. One evening, after a long day of work, Jack taught Evelyn how to adjust a carburetor. Her hands were oil-stained, clothes smudged with grease, hair pulled back in a messy ponytail. "If a CEO can fix a generator, the world might not be hopeless," Jack teased. "If a warrior can teach patience without losing his temper, I can learn to trust humans again." Fair trade. They ate dinner together that night, all four of them around the small table that had somehow become family dinner central. Eli told them about a project at school. Leah showed off a drawing she'd made. Normal. Beautifully, perfectly normal. After the kids were in bed, Evelyn found the Team Fixers poster the children had made. She took it down carefully and had it professionally framed. She hung it in the center of the shop with a small plaque underneath. "Everything can be fixed if someone cares enough to see." Jack found her standing before it, hands clasped. "You really believe that?" "I have to, otherwise what's the point of any of this? Some things are too broken to fix. Name one thing in this shop you gave up on." He thought about it, looking around at the various projects in different stages of completion. "Fair point. Exactly. You don't give up on engines. Maybe don't give up on people either. People are more complicated than engines. But the principle's the same: patience, the right tools, and caring enough to keep trying when it gets difficult." That weekend, Jack took everyone to the lake. It was Eli's idea, wanting to show Leah where they used to go fishing before everything changed. They rented a small boat, packed sandwiches, spent the afternoon on the water. Evelyn was nervous at first, unused to nature and outdoor activities, but Jack's steady presence calmed her. "You're good at this," she said, watching him bait hooks for the kids. "I grew up on boats. My dad was a fisherman before he was a drunk." "Is he still alive?" "No, liver failure when I was 20, right before I joined the Navy." "I'm sorry." "Don't be. He taught me everything useful before the alcohol took him. How to fix things, how to survive, how to know when to walk away from a fight and when to stand your ground." Sounds like a complicated man. Most people are. Simple people don't usually end up doing extraordinary things. Leah caught a fish, her first ever. The excitement on her face was pure joy. Eli cheered like she'd won an Olympic medal. Watching them, Evelyn felt something shift in her chest. This was family. Not the family she'd planned or the family she'd lost, but family nonetheless. "Thank you," she said to Jack. "For what?" "For giving Leah this, a childhood, security, a sense that the world can be good." "I didn't do that. You did, by being brave enough to tell the truth. We both did it, together." He smiled, a real smile that reached his eyes. "Team Fixers?" Team Fixers. That evening, back at the shop, Evelyn found a photograph tucked in Jack's toolbox. Him in full SEAL gear, face paint and tactical vest, standing with his team. Young, fierce, completely different from the man she knew now. "That was a long time ago," Jack said, noticing her looking. "Do you miss it?" "Sometimes. The purpose, the brotherhood, knowing exactly what you're fighting for. But I don't miss what it cost." "What did it cost?" "Parts of myself I'll never get back. But maybe that's okay. Maybe we're not supposed to stay the same person our whole lives. She set the photo down carefully. I think you're exactly who you're supposed to be. A warrior who learned that protecting people matters more than killing enemies. That's a generous interpretation. It's the truth. Later, as they locked up the shop, Evelyn impulsively hugged him. He stiffened for a moment, then relaxed, arms coming around her. Is this okay? She asked. Yeah, this is okay. They stood there in the dim light, holding each other. Two damaged people learning that maybe being damaged together was better than being whole alone. 3 months later, early morning sun filtered through the shop's iron-framed windows. Jack made coffee. Evelyn cleaned workbenches. Leah and Eli played with an old electric fan, trying to make it spin again. Normal. Beautiful, ordinary, life-saving normal. Where will you go? Jack asked, the question he'd been avoiding for weeks. Evelyn paused, rag in hand. I don't know anymore. Maybe somewhere people haven't heard my name. Somewhere I can start completely over. People here only know me as the mechanic. Nobody asks questions. Aren't you afraid I'll bring more trouble? Trouble reminds me I'm alive. Safety is overrated. Leah ran over, hugging Jack's leg. Mr. Jack, Mom says you're someone who keeps promises. Evelyn looked at him, eyes soft. And I've never wanted to leave less than I do right now. He smiled gently. Then don't. Outside, wind chimes rang softly, the same sound that had started this story. But now it sounded like belonging. Family isn't where you're born, Jack said quietly. It's where you choose to stay. And choosing again, every single day. Evelyn took his hand. Then I'm choosing this, every day. Eli held up the fixed fan triumphantly. We did it! Team Fixers wins again. The four of them stood together in the morning light, surrounded by tools and engines and the smell of motor oil. An unlikely family forged from crisis, built on trust, sustained by choosing each other daily. Jack looked at the Team Fixers poster on the wall, at the four handprints and hopeful words. We fix things. That's what we do. Engines, iffies, hearts. Everything can be repaired if someone cares enough. Do you care enough? Evelyn asked softly. More than I've cared about anything in 7 years. Then we're staying, both of us, for as long as you'll have us. Leah and Eli cheered, already planning where Leah's bed would go when they officially moved in. Making plans like this was permanent, because in their hearts, it already was. That afternoon, they painted the shop's exterior together, fresh blue paint covering old gray. Evelyn's idea, wanting to make the place feel renewed. What should we name it? She asked, paintbrush dripping. Name what? The shop. Every good business has a name. Eli shouted from his ladder. Hunter's Garage! No, Leah countered. Guardian Repairs. Jack and Evelyn looked at each other, smiling. How about just The Fix? Jack suggested. Simple, honest. That's what we do here. And Evelyn nodded. The Fix, where everything broken becomes whole again. They painted the name above the door in bold letters. Leah added small handprints around it. Making it uniquely theirs. As the sun set, they stood back admiring their work. The shop looked different now. Alive. Hopeful. Like a place where second chances happened. Thank you, Evelyn said quietly, for not leaving us behind that night. That's not something I know how to do, Noam. It's coded into who I am. Good, because we're not going anywhere. Promise? Promise. Inside, the Team Fixers poster hung proudly, a declaration of who they'd become. 4 people who'd been broken in different ways, now fixing each other through the simple act of staying. Jack thought about his SEAL training, the motto he'd lived by. Leave no one behind. For years, he'd thought that only applied to combat, but maybe it applied to life too. Maybe the real battles were fought in quiet shops and small homes, with children's laughter as the victory song. He looked at his unlikely family, these people who'd crashed into his life and decided to stay. Welcome home, he said. And finally, after 7 long years of surviving, Jack Hunter was actually living again. If you believe stories of healing like this deserve to be told, leave a comment and subscribe to Hidden Heart Stories. We tell the stories that shouldn't be forgotten.